ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਪਾਂਸਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਜਾਂ ਐਡਵਰਟਾਈਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਸਾਨੂੰ info@ramantillonshow.com ਤੇ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ।
ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਪੂਲ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਇੱਕ ਓਨਰ ਆਪਰੇਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਸਮਾਲ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਸਿਰਦਰਦ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਾਨ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਆਡਿਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੇਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕਰੰਟ DOT ਲਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪ੍ਰੀ ਇੰਪਲੋਇਮੈਂਟ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਕੋਰਟ ਆਰਡਰਡ SAP ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਲੋ ਅਪ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਸ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਫਾਈਲਸ, ਸੌਫਟਵੇਅਰ, ਕੰਪਨੀ ਅਤੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰਸ ਦਾ ਕਲੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਹਾਊਸ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਸੈਟਅਪ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਐਰੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ। ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਪੈਕੇਜ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਰਮਨ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 2094176300 209 417 6300।
ਹੁਣ ਲਓ 55 ਸੈਂਟਸ ਤੱਕ ਦਾ ਫਿਊਲ ਡਿਸਕਾਊਂਟ। ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ gonapta.org ਤੇ ਜਾਓ। ਕੋਈ ਫੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕੋਈ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਚੈੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ।
ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਪੂਲ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਇੱਕ ਓਨਰ ਆਪਰੇਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਸਮਾਲ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਸਿਰਦਰਦ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਾਨ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਆਡਿਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੇਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕਰੰਟ DOT ਲਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪ੍ਰੀ ਇੰਪਲੋਇਮੈਂਟ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਕੋਰਟ ਆਰਡਰਡ SAP ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਲੋ ਅਪ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਸ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਫਾਈਲਸ, ਸੌਫਟਵੇਅਰ, ਕੰਪਨੀ ਅਤੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰਸ ਦਾ ਕਲੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਹਾਊਸ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਸੈਟਅਪ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਐਰੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ। ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਪੈਕੇਜ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਰਮਨ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 2094176300 209 417 6300।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਰਮਨ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ 360 ਦੇ ਮਾਧਿਅਮ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਜੁੜ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਾਂ। ਅਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਦੇਰ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਮੰਗ ਵੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੁਣਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ, ਅਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਰੈਗੂਲਰਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ DOT ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ DOT ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ 'ਤੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਆ ਉਹ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕੀਏ ਕਿ DOT ਦੇ ਅੱਖ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇਖੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਜਾਂ DOT ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਦੇਖੀਆਂ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਨੋਰਮਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੀ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੀ ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅੱਖੋਂ ਓਹਲੇ ਕਰ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ। ਸੋ ਟੁਡੇ ਇਨ ਆਰ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਵੀ ਵੈਲਕਮ Markus. Markus is a retired DOT officer. So, Markus, tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome to the show.
Certainly. Thank you for having me today. Yes, my name is Markus Thompson. I'm a former DOT investigator out of the Sacramento, California field office. I worked there for several years and conducted compliance investigations, principally in California, Florida, Texas, Illinois, and DC.
Given your time in DOT and today's what the things are happening in trucking these days, like how much different you see that the trucking industry is today, or how DOT is taking these today's trucking industry?
Well, the approach I've seen DOT taken recently with carrier clients of my own, as well as just in public information, DOT is taking a much harder stance on enforcement and trying to guide safety regulations to the next level. FMCSA, their purpose is to prevent crashes and save lives. And recently, with uptick in fatal crashes across the nation, DOT is targeting high crash, high risk carriers. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is a high risk carrier? As you know, there is a system. It's almost a public report card. Safety measurement system where it reviews companies or carriers' roadside activity and their scores. These scores are increased or decreased based on your roadside activity, whether it's a scale inspection, whether it's a yard inspection, or whether it's just a state trooper in any given state that had pulled over or stopped one of your drivers.
Okay, so Markus, tell me that now we are talking about the inspections and the tickets and all that. So what are the biggest compliance issues that the DOT is seeing in 2026?
Okay, so what we're seeing, one that never changes is false logs. With electronic logs being a thing now for almost a decade, we're still finding, and again, I'm not current with DOT, but based on what we're seeing via my own clients as well as friends that are still within the agency, false logs continues to be the biggest problem. And it's always a driver gets pulled over at the scales and logs are given to the roadside officer, and there's an unknown co-driver.
It's like a ghost driver.
It's commonly referred to as a ghost driver, yes. And that driver is always, the driver's response is, oh, I just dropped him off at the truck stop, or I just dropped him off at home. He just finished the trip. That excuse doesn't really pass anymore. You're going to get the false log. You're going to get the out of service. The company is going to get 30 points added to their safety score, and it's going to flag their hours of service rating in SMS. Another common violation that we're seeing now falls under driver fitness. Driver fitness falls under your driver qualification. So when you hire a driver, everything from the application to your pre-employment drug test to your English proficiency. Now, it's interesting how that violation is being cited and issued roadside. Some of them are coming with a ticket. Others are simply an out-of-service violation. Now, some might freak out if they're getting the ticket. Honestly, from my opinion, the ticket's the better approach, because if a ticket is issued, it means it goes to the court. It means the court now owns that violation. And often our drivers, to our understanding, speak and understand sufficient English to be on the road. However, each state and each law enforcement agency or officer might perceive what
differently.
Differently, how well your driver speaks and understands the language. So if the court gets it and driver goes to court, or they use their legal program, Legal Shield, or whatever they have, and that driver is now in court speaking with the judge, that ticket then gets dismissed. That ticket then is turned around, provided to the company, and then either a third party will go ahead and data queue it and get it removed, or hopefully if that trucking company has a safety person, they will then go in and data queue it and have it removed. That's the best case scenario. But when a roadside officer issues your driver an English proficiency violation, which is now an out-of-service violation, there's nothing you can do about it. You can try and data queue it, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's your word versus their word. And that's why the best case scenario is a ticket, because then it gets assigned to the court. So the top two violations I'm seeing right now are hours of service, false logs for pretending to have a co-driver that doesn't exist, or English language proficiency.
So I was going to come on English language proficiency, but you already addressed that. So tell me, now these days, there's a common question that, a lot of companies, so-called compliance companies, calling people that they're going to fix their tickets. So what kind of tickets can be fixed by some of these compliance companies, and what kind of tickets cannot be fixed?
All right, so I'm going to further define that a little bit. So there's tickets, and then there's violations. So if it's a ticket, nobody is going to fix that. That means it's assigned to the court, and it can only be fixed if the court sides with you or with your driver.
Okay.
And so if, for example, we'll say John Smith Trucking driver John gets stopped for speeding and is cited for going 5 miles over the speed limit. And he's issued a ticket. He's issued a court time.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up to court, challenges the ticket. The ticket is dismissed. That comes off his personal record, and then a data queue is filed at that point by safety manager or third-party safety, and it's removed, and that's successful. However, if same driver, same company is speeding and he gets a violation and not a actual ticket, you're not going to win that. It's going to be dismissed. You're going to submit the data queue. They're going to tell you that's the observed speed at the time. We will not dismiss this violation. So unsafe driving violations, those, if they are ticketed, those are fairly easy to win based on what the court record is. If there's not a ticket issued, you're not going to win any unsafe driving violation. You can submit a data queue, you can claim all you want to claim, but they're observed violations. If the officer says you weren't wearing a safety belt and you're claiming you were wearing a safety belt, you're not going to win. It won't be dismissed.
It won't be dismissed. So basically, that's a big difference. And also there's a big difference when the violations are issued for the equipment failure, tires, air hoses, and all those. Are those fixable?
You're not going to have any luck challenging a maintenance violation. Now, if the only instance, so a data queue is intended to challenge a violation if the violation is misrepresented, or if the officer issued the wrong violation or stacked the same violation using multiple violations of the same category, but technically all route down to the same violation. The example would be he placed your second axle driver's side brakes out of service because the slack adjuster was beyond the standard length of adjustment. And then he went ahead and also cited you or gave you a violation for the same axle, the same brake for the brake being contaminated and being out of service. So technically, yes, they are two separate violations, but at the end of the day, the brake is out of service. So in that case, it's a stacked violation, and I would argue it's pyramiding, and I would ask in a data queue to reduce it down to one violation.
Okay.
But outside of that, you're not, unless the violation is stacked or misnoted, misquoted, misidentified, you will have zero luck fighting any maintenance violation because they are observed violations at the time of the roadside inspection.
So pretty much those kind of violations are not contestable, or you cannot win on it. And it's just because, the situation is that a lot of people, they think that, a company will charge me $200, $300, $500 and get my violation cleared up. So most of the time I will tell them that, these kind of violations will go, your score will come up if you have a clean inspection and keep on doing that clean inspection after and after so that your scores can get better.
That's correct. But again, those maintenance violations, like I said, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just more likely than not, you will have zero success in fighting any maintenance violation. Now, there are other violations that can be challenged. There are certain hours of service violations, unsafe driving violations, driver fitness violations, right? Because often, you'll get that English proficiency violation instead of a ticket. And then it comes into question, well, was my driver qualified or was he not qualified? Where did the violation occur? Was it in California or was it in Oklahoma? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying there's state bias, but one example, one of my clients, they received a clean inspection in California, but in Oklahoma, they were placed out of service for English language proficiency. Okay. So what we did is we took a video of that driver answering those questions and recorded it and submitted it with our data queue.
Okay.
As well as our previous roadside inspection showing no indication of a lack of English proficiency. They originally denied our request, but you get one chance to escalate it. So we escalated it and we won.
So there's a chances that, if it is done properly by the proper compliance company, proper people or, right people, then there are chances of fighting these kind of things.
Correct. You need to use appropriate language in your data queue. You need to be able to clearly state the facts. These guys, everybody's in law enforcement. They know what's BS. They know what's real. Be sincere. Don't make things up. Just provide the facts. Now, of course, the biggest benefit, so I know you said we'll kind of approach English language proficiency, but highly recommend have driver-facing dash cams and leave them on. And if your vehicle doesn't leave it on when you turn the vehicle off for an inspection, I highly recommend you turn on your personal cell phone device and at least put it on record. I'm not saying point your camera at the officer, but I'm saying leave your audio on So that way you now have proof if you can show that you actually speak sufficient English. So that way, if you get the ticket or the violation, you can simply produce that audio and submit it with your data queue challenge to remove it off your record.
So I think there's a driver-facing dash cam that'll be very helpful in these kind of situations.
It'd be incredibly helpful. But the issue is does a driver want driver-facing?
Yeah, that's another challenge. Right now it's in the court. It's challenge.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
And that's why I said, at least, look, guys, if your job is to drive and your income is based on driving and you need to protect your license, 1, get a legal program. 2, turn on your audio when you're stopped. So that way it's not a he said, she said game. You actually have proof of what occurred. And if you're in the right, then you have the record. And with that record, we can make that violation go away.
Exactly. So the basic thing is to protect yourself. Do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. It's a driver-facing dash cam or it's a recording or whatever. I mean, always make sure that protect yourself. You can get the legal plans. We do provide legal plans. You can always reach out to us and we can get you legal ticket fighting plans as well. So we're going to discuss a lot more things. We're going to discuss broker liability, DOT physical changes, ELD. We talk about it. We're going to talk about a lot more. So we're going to take a little bit of break over here, Markus, and we're going to come back and talk more about these topics that we just discussed.
Sounds great.
All right.
ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਪੂਲ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਇੱਕ ਓਨਰ ਆਪਰੇਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਸਮਾਲ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਸਿਰਦਰਦ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਾਨ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਆਡਿਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੇਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕਰੰਟ DOT ਲਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪ੍ਰੀ ਇੰਪਲੋਇਮੈਂਟ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਕੋਰਟ ਆਰਡਰਡ SAP ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਲੋ ਅਪ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਸ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਫਾਈਲਸ, ਸੌਫਟਵੇਅਰ, ਕੰਪਨੀ ਅਤੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰਸ ਦਾ ਕਲੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਹਾਊਸ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਸੈਟਅਪ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਐਰੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਵਾਂਗੇ। ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਪੈਕੇਜ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਰਮਨ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 2094176300 209 417 6300।
ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਪਾਂਸਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਜਾਂ ਐਡਵਰਟਾਈਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਸਾਨੂੰ info@ramantillonshow.com ਤੇ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ।
ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਪੂਲ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਇੱਕ ਓਨਰ ਆਪਰੇਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਸਮਾਲ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਸਿਰਦਰਦ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਾਨ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਆਡਿਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੇਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕਰੰਟ DOT ਲਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪ੍ਰੀ ਇੰਪਲੋਇਮੈਂਟ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਕੋਰਟ ਆਰਡਰਡ SAP ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਲੋ ਅਪ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਸ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਫਾਈਲਸ, ਸੌਫਟਵੇਅਰ, ਕੰਪਨੀ ਅਤੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰਸ ਦਾ ਕਲੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਹਾਊਸ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਸੈਟਅਪ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਐਰੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਵਾਂਗੇ। ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਪੈਕੇਜ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਰਮਨ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 2094176300 209 417 6300।
ਹੁਣ ਲਓ 55 ਸੈਂਟਸ ਤੱਕ ਦਾ ਫਿਊਲ ਡਿਸਕਾਊਂਟ। ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ gonapta.org ਤੇ ਜਾਓ। ਕੋਈ ਫੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕੋਈ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਚੈੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਮਾਰਕਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ DOT ਦੇ ਰਿਟਾਇਰਡ ਆਫਿਸਰ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਛੱਡੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬ੍ਰੋਕਰ ਲਾਇਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਜਾਂ ਨਿਊਕਲੀਅਰ ਵਰਡਿਕਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਏ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ CH ਰੋਬਿਨਸਨ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਸੋ ਮਾਰਕਸ, ਲੈਟਸ ਟਾਕ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਦ ਬ੍ਰੋਕਰ ਲਾਇਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਰਾਈਟ ਨਾਓ ਦੈਟ ਅਰਾਈਜ਼es. So what kind of effects it's going to bring down in what we call a ripple effect into the industry?
Well, the most major ripple that comes to mind is brokers are now equally liable for major crashes or damage-causing events over the road based on the freight that they brokered to the carrier.
Yes.
Now, how does this really affect everybody? Well, I mean, it kind of shares some of the risk, which is nice. But the problem is, well, I don't know if it's necessarily a problem, but it now puts a larger and greater emphasis on carrier safety and fleet safety, because now a carrier has to put their name on the line and insurance on the line on any freight that they give out. So what that means is if your safety scores, your safety measurement system scores are high or you're flagging, you have a less likely chance of getting brokered good freight.
So basically, it's just going to be hard for a carrier to get the freight in case their scores are up. I mean, that was a usual issue before too. I mean, there were some exceptions, but brokers were doing that before too. But I think, do you think that this is going to put a lot more pressure on a carrier too from a broker side of it?
I do. And now that I've left federal government and gone into the private sector, I've received multiple more calls, emails, in-person requests to improve safety scores, because brokers that were previously working with some of these client carriers of mine are no longer working with those brokers because of their safety scores. So regardless of their years of relationships, they're no longer willing to take the risk if the partner carrier safety scores are not in line.
And over here, it's I mean, we're talking about partner carrier, safety scores, but, we see that, the carrier takes the load and go dispersed to another carrier. That's another big problem.
Yeah, that falls into the realm of double brokering, right? And if that document is recorded by DOT, those penalties usually are $10,000 per incident.
Oh, really? That's pretty stiff.
Is the fine they charge. Now, whether they actually take the enforcement and take the charge, right, is the question. It goes back to a DOT case. I believe it's referenced as the Riojos case. You can look it up later. And it was one of those big double brokering investigations, and it resulted in millions of dollars of fines and fees. But, it got held up in court, and the end outcome, I'm not really clear on at this point. But the fees and the fines issued by DOT are up to $10,000 per incident of caught double brokering.
Okay, so this way it looks like that, if this is going to be a hard hit to the broker side of it, so broker is going to be very, very focused on it, if I'm giving a load to this one carrier, because if the carrier disperses the load or double broker the load to another carrier, the broker has no kind of like no reach to that third carrier. They don't know who they broker it to or who they give it to. So the broker really does not have any control on that carrier. They
don't. But the premise is, with the shared risk of if something major occurs roadside or over the road, that there's now another party that is equally vested in those damages. But regardless of if a partner carrier, decides to double broker a load, I mean, that's on them. But the broker's job now is to thoroughly vet a carrier before issuing the freight.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a rough road for the future.
Right. I'm sure you've seen. So a lot of carriers are familiar with the Amazon requirements to move Amazon freight. Amazon, obviously, one of the largest shipper of goods at this point, because we all have Amazon Prime accounts, etc.
Yeah.
But if you've ever logged into their platform, if you get a flag or break their safety threshold in place, they automatically ban you from moving their freight. So Amazon was already ahead of the game in this aspect of, vetting solid carriers for moving the freight. And from what I understand, C.H. Robinson and a bunch of the other big brokers are also implementing this type of system where if you don't meet their minimum threshold, good luck.
Then you're out of
it. So, I mean, obviously those aren't the only brokers out there, so I don't think it eliminates the game altogether. But it definitely impacts the ability for a lot of small carriers to continue to get better quality freight.
Yeah, it's again, the thing is the road is going to be tougher and tougher again moving ahead. So let's change gear and talk about a little bit about DOT physical changes that came across right now, and California became a partner state also in that where they have to update the DOT physical results to National Registry instead of going to DMV. So what is about that?
Certainly. So, it'd be nice if there was a federal DMV versus a state DMV, so you'd have, same regulations and rules across the roadways in this country. And the intent is with the medical cards, it's to prevent fraud as well as real-time reporting to benefit both the driver as well as ultimately save operating costs for state departments, especially California. The goal of it is a streamlined medical verification process. So when a law enforcement officer is sitting roadside and they run the driver's license in their program, it's called SIDLIS, Commercial Driver's License. I can't think of the acronym at the moment, but they use a program called SIDLIS. They run the CDL, and real time it pulls from all DMV sources, any known aliases, driver record history, all crashes, all previous violations, as well as the medical card. It's a great program and a great tool for law enforcement. But as far as the change with the medical card and it being fully electronic and submitted by the medical provider to the DMV electronically, it relieves the driver and the driver's company they're operating for a little bit of time and headache, because usually the process was you had to ensure that you hand delivered or emailed in your medical card yourself. And often that step was skipped. Now, here's the thing. You might have a medical card, but if the medical card never reached a DMV, it means your license was automatically downgraded to non-commercial, which means if you got stopped, guess what? You're out of service, you get an acute violation, and more than likely you're getting a ticket issued for operating a Class A vehicle without a Class A license.
Okay.
So I guess the benefit is it, in theory, stops the problem of a driver from missing, forgetting, or failing to ensure their medical card is on file, therefore keeping their license valid. Now, kind of bridging into this, how does this affect your driver's qualification file? Now, according to DOT, with the new system, technically, you're not required to maintain a copy of that medical card on file anymore, technically. Now, the question is, who's going to honor it? Who's not going to honor it? Do you know how to stand up and actually speak to the regulation and to represent yourself if an incident occurs? So best practice, obviously, always keep a copy. But the real problem is you can stop 4 officers, ask each officer the same question, and end up with 4 different answers.
4 different answers. Always happen that.
Always happens. At the end of the day, the regulations are written the way they are. And if you understand the regulations and how they're written, you'll be okay at the end of the day. But as California or even DOT, as you know, as they've implemented new things and changes such as MODIS, which has been it's a headache for
everyone.
For everybody. Headache for DOT, headache for the carrier, headache for third parties. It's just been a mess. So I would expect the same thing as California has made this change with medical cards. So I would definitely best practice versus common practice. Best practice would be, okay, make sure you get a copy, ask your employer to pull a new pull notice for you, or you log into your own DMV app and pull a fresh MVR to ensure that A, the medical provider didn't screw up the transfer, and B, that you still have a Class A license.
So it's more than ever required right now to make sure that, you keep on checking your account, keep on checking your license, make sure it's valid. And also another thing that, Markus, that I need a little bit of clarity in that when updating the DOT physical to California DMV now, they divided into two categories now, like interstate and intrastate. So if you're an intrastate, then you have to update to DMV. If you have interstate license or you go cross state lines, then your medical provider has to submit to National Registry. So a little bit about those.
Right. So if you're selecting intrastate only, which would be cargo that originates in California and ends in California, you still need to make sure you get your medical card into DMV. Correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And number two, if you're an interstate driver, whether you're crossing state lines matters to some degree for part of the definition, but you don't necessarily have to cross state lines to be an interstate driver. Everything is based on the intent of the cargo. So let's say you are an intermodal driver at the ports, you're by proxy automatically an interstate driver, even though you just picked up at the ports and you delivered to Stockton, California.
Mm-hmm.
That freight came in off a boat from a waterway that essentially guarantees you're an interstate driver. So when you're selecting interstate, it's not based on necessarily the geography of what you're driving. Yeah, if you're crossing state lines, automatic, certainly. But it's always going to be based on the intent of the cargo. So, you show up at Stockton warehouse, you pick up a trailer. That trailer initially originated in Washington, and you're doing the final delivery to Los Angeles. Even though you never left the state, that is still interstate commerce. So again, if you are renewing your medical card, always follow up with a DMV pull notice or motor vehicle record check for your own driving record to make sure you do not create any problems for yourself by adding an intrastate only restriction, because that will put you out of service roadside.
So let's explain a little bit about, the example that we did talk about before about Amazon loads, that like the way the Amazon loads are coming from out of state or coming on ship or whichever way it's coming in. And now they drop off in Tracy warehouse, and where the load is, taken off in the warehouse and then broken down. And broken down after that, it gets loaded up into a different trailers and taken to different directions. So is that load is also considered as interstate or intrastate?
It might have started interstate, but the moment that it reached its destination again in Stockton, and they offloaded that load and then rebuilt a new load, and it's going to Los Angeles, It is now an intrastate only load, even though some of that freight originated from China or out of state or another country. It is now an intrastate load because after it was picked up and dropped off at that warehouse, offloaded and then rebuilt, it now became a California to California load, therefore making it intrastate.
So this is a big difference, when you're doing your medical card update. If you are an interstate driver, that means that, it all depends on your load, that what kind of load you're doing, what kind of work you're doing. So always check that, and always check with DMV. Always make sure that your company has a pull notice done, and, check your MVR. I mean, it's cheap. It's not that expensive. You can go to DMV, pull your MVR, tell them to, give you your MVR. It's just cheap, and you can get it, and make sure that it's current and your medical provider did not mess it up.
That's correct. And of course, if you are a California CDL holder, you can log into California's DMV app and get your MVR, I believe, at no cost or as little as $5 and have it instantly. So not advertising any particular programs, but that is a state-provided program. And again, if your job is to drive, you want to make sure you protect that license. And again, that's why we also circle back on the legal program that's offered here in the program Legal Shield, because you get a ticket, you get an attorney at no cost to represent you.
Exactly. Yeah. Always protect yourself. So we're going to go to the quick questions right now.
Oh, boy.
Markus. So those are going to be I'm going to be easy on those ones. So what is the most misunderstood regulation in your mind?
The most misunderstood regulation. So from my experience, it might be the interstate regulation.
Yes.
I think that is actually the most misunderstood regulation. Again, if you're under 21, it means you're interstate only. But guess what? You gave your under 21-year-old a local delivery that just came in from out of state. That just put that driver, even though, it's as silly as it sounds, because all he did was drive 30 miles, got stopped roadside, provided the bill of lading. That bill of lading said that load just came in from Arizona, even though he literally just took a loaded trailer from his yard in Fresno and delivered in Fowler, California, 30 miles down the road. He got stopped. He's out of service. He got a ticket. Your company scores go up. His driver's license gets points. Now it's going to affect your insurance renewals and seeing if you can keep that driver. Misunderstood is understanding truly what interstate and intrastate commerce is.
So that's really, really important, because a lot of time people, they say that I don't know why the hell I got a ticket, because I don't understand. I was just going from here to here, point A to point B, like 30 miles.
Right. Now I'll give you another example. I know this is more for trucking, but I also represent several motor coach companies, and some of these motor coach companies also run minibuses, and those minibuses pick up passengers from the airport.
Okay.
So like a commercial driver, a commercial bus driver, their freight are fellow humans, and they came in off an airplane. That means they're automatically an interstate trip.
Wow.
And so a lot of one of the biggest issues I find there is they all have intrastate only driver's licenses. And so when DOT, and so here's the catch. If you're a motor coach company, DOT is coming to see you at least every other year, if not every year, depending on resources and availability. But they will definitely see you every 2 years. And now they got you because you misunderstood the regulation. And now you got a bunch of drivers that are driving in restriction violations, causing a bunch of cute violations, fines, and penalties for your company and for that individual driver's license and ability to drive. So
in your mind, what's the biggest mistake a owner-operator makes?
Owner-operators. Usually they care a little more. They definitely care more about the fleet because it's their own truck. Biggest mistake I see is driving beyond the hours of service limitations.
So that's kind of like a ELD violation, the hours of service violation. That's the biggest one. I think, I agree with that too, because they are thinking that they're going over the hours is making more money.
And there's one other big major one. So the way DOT looks at regulations, so there's acute violations, you only need to find one incident. Critical violations, which also affect your safety rating and scores, you need to find 10%. It's hard to find 10% on an owner-operator because it's only one driver sample.
Yes.
Which you would make you think that's 100% if it's one of one, but it doesn't work that way. Now, the other biggest issue, aside from hours service, is drug testing. Owner-operators tend to skip out of being enrolled in a random drug testing program. It is absolutely critical. The biggest way to put yourself in a major mess with DOT is drug testing. If you screw up on your drug testing, you're not participating in a random program, you're going to put yourself in a lot of problems. So make sure, if you're an owner-operator, make sure you're enrolled in a credible drug and alcohol random testing program.
Great. Yeah, so this is important, when small carrier makes a mistake, it's hard for to take them in because it hits hard.
Yeah. So Raman, what was that? I was showing Raman earlier this morning. There's a client, I'm not going to include names, that I'm representing. They have a federal audit, and it's their secondary company. We know a lot of companies have secondary and third companies, waiting. They have a federal audit, and they used a particular drug testing facility. And even though I was able to see proof that the carrier requested pre-employment drug tests be done on the secondary company, they didn't. They said they would get it done, but it never happened. And that's where I circle back. Like, it is, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily your drug testing provider to ensure your compliance.
It's you,
the owner of the company. So
the quick answer, Do you like paper log or ELD?
Well, as an investigator, I liked paper logs because it was so much easier to like, oh yeah, everything's good. ELDs I like because it's more, there's more integrity, there's more honesty, there's more clarity, right? As drivers, you want to drive, you want to get your miles. Brokers, they want their freight delivered. Companies, they want to get paid for the freight that's being delivered. But at the end of the day, if you're a fatigued driver,
it's hard.
It's hard. And that's how crashes occur. And again, everybody's seen what's been going on in the news with FMCSA regarding any sort of fatal crash. You will be targeted. They will find you. They will find a way to figure out that, you're in the wrong. Do not take the risk.
Dash cam, yes or no?
100% dash cam, especially now with the scrutiny of the ELP and maybe other questionable violations. I'd have to get clearance, but maybe I can give you a video to show you why dash cam is so important. I have one client. He was cited for following too closely. Okay. He has dash cam, driver facing and road facing. You can see his speed. He's driving actually under the posted speed limit. He's keeping an appropriate distance between cars. And in the video, and it's ironically, it's in Oklahoma, there's a roadside officer that's just parked on the side of the road. He passes that officer, and I guess the officer didn't like it, pulled him over, gave him a ticket for following too closely. Luckily, we had dash cam video. Luckily, he actually had legal shield, so it was super easy. We submitted the ticket as well as the video. It was dropped before it could even get to a full court date because it was ridiculous.
So there you go.
Dash cam all the way. It's for your protection.
Okay, the one last one. One habit that can prevent violations.
Pre-trip inspection. My God, do your pre-trip inspection. It doesn't take that long to check if your lights work, your horn works, your windshield wiper works with fluid, and that you got appropriate tire pressure in your tires.
Great. So pre-trip inspection, and I say pre-trip, mid-trip, and post-trip. All three inspections are very important to keep you on the road and compliant. I think, Marcus, I never had an episode that went over half an hour. This one is closely to 40 minutes.
I'm sorry about that.
So you don't have to be sorry. The things that we're discussing is so important and so, needed for people to understand. And I think in coming weeks, we might have more of these episodes done so that we can deep dive into particular
Certainly.
Issues where we can explain that what exactly and how exactly it works.
So as we kind of started this dialogue, this podcast this afternoon, we discussed what are challengeable and non-challengeable violations.
Yes.
If we could, my request would be let's have a session about vehicle maintenance, and being that it's one of the things least likely you're going to be able to challenge. I want to talk about best practices, how to keep your maintenance in check on a low budget, and how to actually take preventative care of your vehicles and your fleet to help avoid some of those nasty violations and fines.
Absolutely. Marcus, really thank you for coming to our studio and, enlightened us and our listeners about all the details about DOT prospective.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਮਾਰਕਸ ਐਂਡ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੁਣਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹੋ ਹੀ ਹਦਾਇਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੋ। ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ 'ਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਤੇ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ 5597018000 ਤੇ ਟੈਕਸਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ ਅਗਲੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ।
ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਪੂਲ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਇੱਕ ਓਨਰ ਆਪਰੇਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਸਮਾਲ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਸਿਰਦਰਦ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਾਨ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਆਡਿਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੇਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕਰੰਟ DOT ਲਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪ੍ਰੀ ਇੰਪਲੋਇਮੈਂਟ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਕੋਰਟ ਆਰਡਰਡ SAP ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਲੋ ਅਪ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਸ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਫਾਈਲਸ, ਸੌਫਟਵੇਅਰ, ਕੰਪਨੀ ਅਤੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰਸ ਦਾ ਕਲੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਹਾਊਸ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਸੈਟਅਪ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਐਰੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਵਾਂਗੇ। ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਪੈਕੇਜ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਰਮਨ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 2094176300 209 417 6300।
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਪਾਂਸਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਜਾਂ ਐਡਵਰਟਾਈਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਸਾਨੂੰ info@ramantillonshow.com ਤੇ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ।
ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਪੂਲ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਇੱਕ ਓਨਰ ਆਪਰੇਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਸਮਾਲ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਸਿਰਦਰਦ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਾਨ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਆਡਿਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੇਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕਰੰਟ DOT ਲਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਪਲਾਇੰਟ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪ੍ਰੀ ਇੰਪਲੋਇਮੈਂਟ ਰੈਂਡਮ ਕੋਰਟ ਆਰਡਰਡ SAP ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਲੋ ਅਪ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਸ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਫਾਈਲਸ, ਸੌਫਟਵੇਅਰ, ਕੰਪਨੀ ਅਤੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰਸ ਦਾ ਕਲੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਹਾਊਸ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਸੈਟਅਪ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੁਐਰੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ। ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਪੈਕੇਜ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਡਰੱਗ ਟੈਸਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਰਮਨ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 2094176300 209 417 6300।
ਹੁਣ ਲਓ 55 ਸੈਂਟਸ ਤੱਕ ਦਾ ਫਿਊਲ ਡਿਸਕਾਊਂਟ। ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ gonapta.org ਤੇ ਜਾਓ। ਕੋਈ ਫੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕੋਈ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਚੈੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ।